After all this time. Always.
So you probably read the title of this video and thought,
What are you talking about?
bring back YA blockbusters? Why would anyone want to do that? And trust me, I understand why many people would be against it. When you think of YAs, you think of the ordinary, everyday young girl or boy who becomes the special savior of the world. The cringy love triangles, the extremely attractive love interests, and the bad writing that plagued the films of that era. But what everyone always forgets are the stories of youth revolution that a lot of those films told, which I'd argue was before its time and why those films didn't do well. So I thought I'd pitch why YA blockbusters should return and hopefully convince some of you that they have a place in the future of cinema. So without further ado, let's get into it. YA blockbusters most of the time did really well at the box office. Popular franchises like The Hunger Games and Twilight were really successful, grossing $2.67 billion and $3.3 billion worldwide respectively. But towards the late 2010s, the box office numbers would decrease. The Death Cure, the final installment in the Maze Runner series, was released in 2018, but only grossed $288.2 million worldwide, as opposed to its first installment, which grossed $348.3 million worldwide. Now, this decrease isn't too bad. Death Cure did surpass its budget by a long shot, but compare this to a new film like The Darkest Minds, which was also released in 2018. The film only managed to make $41.1 million at the box office. $41.1 million. That's a huge decline in comparison to The Death Cure. And to be fair, The Death Cure did have the advantage of belonging to a popular franchise in 2014. But The Darkest Minds is a new franchise and it flopped before it even began. Another example, Mortal Engines was released in 2018. The film's budget was $100 million, but it only grossed $83.7 million at the box office. Plus, the critical reception that this film and The Death Cure and The Darkest Minds received was poor. Audiences and critics both didn't like these films. So what do these numbers tell us? Simply that audiences have fallen out of love with the YA blockbuster, and I think I know why. A lot of the time, the purpose of YA blockbusters was to give young audiences an escape from their reality. That's why Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Twilight, and Narnia did well. Escapism. That's what young people needed at the time. So love triangles, extremely attractive love interests, overused tropes, and an average writing passed back then. Honestly, the writing part only applies to Twilight, Divergent, and Mortal Instruments. Narnia, Hunger Games, and Harry Potter are, in my opinion, a handful of the best YA films out there. Fight me, okay? I'm right, you know I'm right. But back to the point I was making. The desire to escape led to YA blockbusters being successful and popular among the youth. So when young audiences grew up and became adults, this need to escape, though still prominent, wasn't as strong anymore. And although back then some of the tropes of YA blockbusters like the love triangles, bad writing, and a lot of the time bad acting was overlooked, now it's laughed at. YA blockbusters weren't taken seriously anymore, which leads me onto my next point. Netflix and many streaming sites have found success with their many YA films and TV shows in their catalogue. Riverdale, 13 Reasons Why, To All the Boys I Loved Before, and Love, Simon have all found success amongst their viewers because of their exploration and discussions of topics common in a young person's life. Bullying, depression, suicide, sexuality, relationships, friendships, and school life, just to name a few. This was something that YA blockbusters couldn't necessarily do. Because of the big worlds, supernatural elements, and savory tropes, young audiences couldn't relate, only escape. However, despite their success, these films and TV shows are often heavily criticized by young audiences. Riverdale, for example, has constantly been made fun of for their cringy writing and criticized for the sexualization of their young characters, as well as a lack of diversity amongst their cast and queerbaiting. Yet, Riverdale is getting a 5th season. Why? Because audiences keep watching. In the UK, Riverdale was the most popular show on Netflix as of May 2020, and is one of the top 10 popular shows on the entire platform. The numbers speak for themselves. YA is still popular, but for the right and wrong reasons. As of June 2020, we are in a life-changing time in our lives right now. The pandemic has killed many people and the whole world is in lockdown. Global warming is affecting our climate and world quicker than ever. More and more women and men are coming forward about experiencing sexual assault and sexual abuse. After the murder of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement has become even more prominent, and many people around the world have taken to the streets, protesting for justice and equality. But what gives me hope is that young people worldwide have started to become leaders. Marcus Rashford persuaded the British government to U-turn their decision to stop giving free meals to disadvantaged children. John Boyega spoke and led a Black Lives Matter protest in London. And Greta Thunberg is an environmental activist for climate change and has spoken in front of many political leaders. The youth are rising up, speaking up and advocating for change and for what they believe in. Youth activists like Greta Thunberg are reminiscent of revolutionists from YA films, like Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games. Films are often a platform for filmmakers to speak about society, and I believe that now, more than ever, films centered around the youth not only need to speak on the shift happening in our world, but inspire them to be part of the change. We need films showing young people failing and getting back up on their feet and trying again. We need films showing young men, especially Black men, that mental health isn't a weakness and crying isn't a weakness. We need films with positive representations of young people of color and LGBTQ+ in male lead roles. We need films that teach young people about racism, sexism, ageism, and prejudice. We need films that educate people of color of their history. We need films about youth revolution. And this could all be done through YA Blockbusters. Why? Because it has the freedom of having grand worlds, the opportunity of bringing in huge audiences, and the chance of telling an impactful story on a huge scale that could change and inspire young people. So does YA Blockbusters have a place in the future of cinema? Damn right it does. And I hope this video persuades you that it does too. So yeah, that's my pitch. I hope it's persuaded you all, like I said, and also makes you believe that YA Blockbusters needs to come back 2020 onwards. I'm telling you, like, I want to make one day, and it will happen. I know it will. So I hope other filmmakers follow in suit, and young filmmakers too. You know, I feel like YA Blockbusters is our platform to speak on things that we are passionate about, and I hope a lot of young people will feel the same as well. So yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day.